Hi, everybody.
All right. How's it going? What do you guys think? It's great. Looks good? It's really fun. That cake, by the way, when I was like, oh my God, this is so good. It tastes like breakfast. That cake was incredible. Like one of the best cakes. I was just like, can I get that recipe?
Do you ever lie if it's not good?
No, yeah, I don't. Like, that's the thing is like, I feel like if you're going to be judging a culinary competition, especially on television, it's really important to be authentic, and to really like, if something isn't right, it's not cool to like be a dick about it. Oh.
I think we can say that.
Sorry,
we're on
the internet, right?
Yeah. We're on thanks, Jay. We're good.
Like you don't want to be like, like a jerk about it, but you just like, it's important to be like, okay, this is why this isn't working. And, I can taste a cake and say, there wasn't enough acid in here, and that's why it tastes like nickels because there's too much baking soda left over. Something like that, so you can really, like, give people good constructive criticism and not just be, this sucks. Because, like, you don't learn anything. Like, they don't learn anything. People at home don't learn anything, and it doesn't make me look good like I actually know what I'm talking about. You're just sort of, like, saying something mean for the sake of being mean.
Is it a bigger challenge to bake under pressure, or I guess to bake at all, versus when you're cooking and you can taste as you go? Because if you're baking, do you really know until it's all done? And then if it's bad, you're screwed. It's
a great question. It's actually a two-part question. So the first thing is, the cooking is a different mindset. When you go into a restaurant and you're cooking, you see like the cooks behind the line. They're always under pressure. You got to cook. Like those tickets are popping out of that little scroll tail. Like you just got to go. And you have to cook. So when you go to a show like Chopped, like Iron Chef, like Beat Bobby Flay, shows like this, that's what chefs do normally. So it's not stepping outside your comfort zone to sort of do this. Now with baking is something that you need time to reflect. You need time to think. You need time to get all of your ingredients together, because if you skip something in step 2, in step 300 is going to bite you in the ass. And that's really the big difference with baking. And so you're right. Like, so if you're, you really need to do everything in the proper order, because if you don't, it's just a disaster.
I'm sure if you guys are all here, you're all big fans of cooking shows. You all know Duff. You all know Ace of Cakes. You probably know a lot of the Food Network competition shows that we're always used to. I mean, you mentioned Iron Chef. There's things like Chopped. When we see these chefs go at it, it's about an hour. Sometimes it's a 30-minute round or a 20-minute round. You're giving bakers a full overnight, 7 hours. That sounds like a lot of time, but it isn't.
It's not. It's no time at all. Here's the thing. It's like, if you gave me a half an hour, maybe an hour, if you gave me an hour and told me to scour this office, I could probably find enough food to make you guys all something really delicious, right?
He's obviously never been around this office.
No, I'm
there
sure,
is
believe
not
me,
a lot going on.
If you gave me, I was able to look under people's desks and find their, oh look, oh, you got some tortillas. All right, cool. I got some of that. Like, oh, you got a block of cheese in your file drawer. Cool. I got a block of cheese. Like, I'd figure it out. But the thing with baking is like, especially cake decorating. Cake decorating, you're sculpting. I mean, it's not like sculpting, it is sculpting. And so because you're sculpting, first you have to create the marble in the first place, where like sculptors got it easy because the marble's already done. You just got to chip away at it, where with cake decorators, you have to create that marble, and then you have to manipulate it to make it look beautiful, and you also have to create that marble so it's delicious. And we had a sneak peek last night, and the winner came down to taste, which rarely happens in a baking competition. Usually, like, this looks great, this doesn't look great, this one obviously tasted better, this one didn't, and like that person won. And last night it really did come down to flavor.
I find that so fascinating, because if you look at your sort of repertoire of cakes that you've made, things that we've seen on the show, no one ever wants to cut them. Nobody wants to eat them. They see them and they just marvel at them. Is that sort of bittersweet for you? Because the cake itself is also delicious.
It is delicious, and the thing is that when you're making one of these cakes, you have spent so much time staring at this thing and wrestling with it that by the time it's time to cut it, you can't wait. I'm like, give me the knife. I'll cut this thing. It's just like, I'm so sick of looking at this minion or whatever I'm looking, you know what I mean? Like, make a lot of minion cakes. A lot of Olafs too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you just get so, like, you're so excited to cut into it. And also the thing is, like, we are cake decorators. We're artists, yes, but like Charm City Cakes, what we do, we make cakes. And cakes are, after everything else is done, after the movie premiere is over, after the bar mitzvah has happened, after the wedding is over. Wait, you're getting married too, right?
Mm-hmm. We don't want to talk about that. I got 5 days before I'm getting married. My wedding dress is in my boss's office across there. I'm having a heart attack.
Who's making your cake?
Here's the thing about who's making my cake. Here's the thing. I don't know if any of you guys are married or ever tried to plan a wedding. There is red tape everywhere you go. And my venue would only allow me to have certain people making my cake. So I found one of their list that looked the most like the stuff you do. See how I did that? See how I did that?
See, here's the thing with like all that red tape.
There's so much of it.
When they say, oh, you can't bring a cake only from these 3 venues, just say no. Because guess what? They want your $25,000, and if they
Where were you like a year and a half ago? I needed you then, not 5 days from now.
I'm just saying. I don't know. Okay, what were we talking about?
Putting me on the spot here.
Cakes.
We're talking about cakes.
Oh, yeah. So when it's all over, once the event is over, at the end of the day, it's still a cake, and you're supposed to eat it, and it has to be delicious. What is the point of me making a life-size elephant out of cake if it's not going to be delicious? Why cut into it? Then I should just make it out of wood. Because like, what's the point? You're not actually going to eat it because it doesn't taste good. And it's funny because people will ask me like, "Hey, do your cakes taste good?" And like, I mean, they're delicious, but like, what am I supposed to say? Nah,
I think it's a valid question. It's a valid question because your cakes are so incredible to look at. You marvel at them like they're pieces of artwork. And people who watched your show and watch how you work know the time, the effort, the trial and error that goes into it. There's wood, there's drills, there's PVC pipes, there's a lot of Rice Krispie treats.
Hey man, all those aluminum shavings.
Right?
Really, it's texture.
Just say they really,
it's good.
That added
delicious.
crunch, the texture that you're really looking for in a cake.
Yeah.
So it does stand to reason that you would almost forget that it's supposed to taste like a delicious, delicious cake.
Yeah.
Now, I wonder if all cakes are made the same. What's your favorite kind of cake?
Ice cream.
Oh, challenge.
Is it, like a cookie puss?
Can you do anything with an ice cream cake, or is an ice cream cake just an ice cream cake?
It is what it is. I mean, like, that's the thing. It's like, to do what we do, like, it takes several hours outside, on a table, in a cake studio to do. And so, to try to decorate an ice cream cake wouldn't work.
Are you ever sick of cake flavors? Like Red Velvet had a moment. I know there's people. You're nodding your head. You're like, I know. I love Red Velvet. Yeah. Red Velvet had a moment. Are you over? Do you get over things like that?
No.
I
mean, like it's still funny because it's like it's chocolate cake with red food coloring in it, but it's chocolate cake with red food coloring and cream cheese frosting. So it's like, just get a chocolate cake with cream cheese frosting, skip the red food coloring. You're good. It's gonna taste exactly the same. I promise.
What makes a cake difficult to work with? Because I know on your website you have like 40 different cake flavors, but not all of them could be made into giant elephants.
So when you have a particulate, right? When you have something in your cake that's like a nut or chocolate chips or things like that, those cakes are very hard to carve. Because you'll be carving something, and sometimes you really got to get detailed. And if there's a chocolate chip in the way, in the oven, it sort of like becomes one with the flour around it. So then you're carving and you hit that chocolate chip and then you take off a whole chunk. And so it's really difficult to carve those kinds of cakes. So what we tell people is, these cakes are really good for carving. These ones are good for, all the flavors are really good for like a wedding cake. The other thing too is that when you're doing a cake that really is like labor intensive and the cake itself is going to be outside of the refrigerator for, let's say, more than 24 hours, you can't put fresh strawberries in there. I made that mistake once. And then I
Let's
also
talk
made-
about mistakes. You know you all want to know about this. Everyone wants to know about cake disasters. On all of the competition shows, we see at least one person just lose the top, the foundation crumbles, something goes wrong. Did this happen to you in real life with real clients and real crazy brides?
To this day.
Still?
To this day, yeah. It just
How do you handle the anxiety?
here's the thing. It's funny. Like when I was driving that elephant, we had to drive from Baltimore to Arizona, and it had to be completely finished. There was no way to like do it in pieces and assemble it. Like it was just the way that we designed it. It had to be all done, and so we drove this thing. And people are like, how did you drive a life-size elephant? It's like after a while, you're just like, it's gonna fall apart. Something on it is gonna break. So why am I worried about it? I'm going to have to fix it when I get there anyways. You just get into the point where, you definitely have to move with urgency. You have to be prepared for anything that can happen to it. But you fix it. You freak out when you're done. Once the cake is finished and up and you fixed all the cracks and all the things and the bride is calm and the dad isn't going to beat you up and everything's cool, and then you drive away, that's when you pull over the side of the road and you break down and you sob. But not before. That's the mistake that people make is there's a cake disaster and then they freak out. It's like, no, the cake falls apart, just center, fix, then freak out.
Has there ever been an unfixable disaster?
I'm sure there has. Not in my shop. And here's
Knock
the thing.
on wood.
And this is no lie. I'm not saying this because we're filming and everything. We have never not delivered a cake, ever.
That is impressive.
We are really good at what we do.
You are very, very good at what you do. Absolutely.
But we also screw up so much that we're really good at fixing screw-ups. And, that's a really important lesson. I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, my God, what do you do if something breaks? It's like, it's good when things break, because you get better at dealing with, of putting out fires and your crisis management skills just go through the roof. I mean, it's amazing, but it really is. It's, the more things go wrong, the more you can deal with it. And then it's not really things going wrong. It's just, I have to deliver a cake. This is what's going to happen. It also makes me a better judge, too. When I'm judging a show like Duff Till Dawn or like the Kids Baking Championship, I can look at something within 3 seconds. I can be like, okay, what happened here was you didn't put enough supports. You didn't allow your cake enough time to settle. You cut it too close to the table, so it settled about 2 millimeters, buckled, and cracked.
So this is what you're saying to the kids, right? Not.
Oh, yeah.
You don't go easy on the kids. Talk to me about the kids baking challenge. I am baking challenge just in general because I hate baking because I'm bad at it. I love to cook, but that's because I love to throw things in the pot, season it, move it around. I never get my ingredients out first. My mise en place not there, never prepared. The oven's not preheated. It's always a nightmare. So I can't imagine kids are better prepared than I am. Are you nice to them?
They would blow you out of the water.
Probably.
These kids are so good.
I'm so baking challenge.
These kids are so good. They're very sophisticated. But I'm not mean to them, but I don't talk down to them either. These kids they're well versed and they're sophisticated. They've done their homework. They know what they're doing. And I've always found that when you're dealing with kids, if you talk to them just normal, like you would an adult, I mean, most of us are 13 mentally anyways. I mean, I am, but so, when you're talking to a kid and you start to you talk to them like you're on the same level, you see that it's what they want. And they're so used to having people like, oh, are you going to make a muffin now? Kids, you know what I mean? Like if any of you guys have to deal with kids, they don't want to hear that. They're like, really, you're lame ass.
Yeah, I want to make a muffin.
You know what I mean? When you talk to people, all right, look, here's where you messed up. Fix this, remix that, and they're just like, cool, thanks, man. And they're just you're on the same level.
Can you see in the kids who could have the potential to grow up to be a fantastic, fabulous pastry chef or a baker? Can you see that talent?
Honestly, and this isn't the vanilla answer, but all of them. They're all incredible. I mean, they're all doing things that I couldn't do when I graduated culinary school. Yeah.
How'd you get this far?
I'm really charming.
I kid. You started cooking at a young age, though.
Yeah, and I cut off my pinky, too, and I had it reattached.
This, like, part right there?
Yeah, it doesn't bend all the way,
God.
and it's actually a really, I'll show you guys later, but it's a really good scar. Yeah.
And elaborate, please. We're all dying to know how you ended up cutting off your pinky.
I was carving a pumpkin, and my hand got sweaty, and so my mom gave me that crappy kid safe.
Like the serrated one?
Yeah,
yeah.
Which it was didn't work, and so I was just and so I went in the house and I got a steak knife, and so I was sitting there carving it with a steak knife, and it just slipped and it just zipped and.
How old were you?
2nd grade.
Oh my God.
It was great, man. Like the tendon in here snapped. I cut it, and then the tendon goes all the way down into my arm. So they had to go into the stump and pull it back out, hold it while they reattached. And then it was cool because there's no feeling in here now, so I'd put it under my chair, and kids would sit on the chair, and it was a fun thing to do at school. We poke it with an X-Acto knife, yep. Nothing. What's his Mr. Deeds when he's got his the
foot?
His foot. He's yeah, got nothing, man. It's the same thing. It's just it's completely.
So just a quick aside for anyone with kids, has kids, likes kids that are watching, don't do that.
I'm available for
None
babysitting.
Of that. Don't do it. Don't do any of that. Okay, so
it's also how I tell my right from my left, because I without looking, I only have 4 fingers on this hand. It's what it feels like.
Does that get in the way with, I don't know, trying to do elaborate sculpture cakes?
You just learn. It's look. When you're going when you're dropping a deuce.
Okay.
Right.
No one knew where you were going with that one, and I don't think anyone expected it to end there.
When you're going to the bathroom and you take your phone and you're just playing on Twitter way too long and both your legs fall asleep, come on. All right?
Okay,
and
this is what we got a show of hands for?
You still
this crowd.
You still know how to stand up and walk to the sink to and then hold on and just wait till the blood goes back to your ankles, so you don't just take a step and completely fall over. It's the same thing. You just learn how to.
Who wants to talk about cake?
Sorry.
That's appetizing. Have you ever had to make any really gross cakes? Oh. Speaking of things that are gross and you don't want to associate with cake.
Doctors
want
and
gross
nurses.
Stuff?
Doctors and nurses have the most sick sense of humor, man. We made one. We had a nurses convention that was happening in Baltimore, and we made them a cake that was of the medical mannequin that shows all the different kinds of bed sores people can have.
Oh my God.
And then they showed us, they sent us pictures of all them pulling the bed sores off the cake and eating disgusting. We had a gastroenterologist,
sure,
a poop doctor, whatever, and
we're back.
We're back. Back to it's a topic that fascinates me.
Right.
But this guy he wanted a cake of himself in mid-surgery, operating on someone with the guts hanging out, and he's got loops of intestines.
So then what kind of research do you have to do to execute an accurate intestine cake?
Not Google, Bing. Yeah, Bing is much more Bing is really good at oh, you want to see that? Here you go. Where Google's yeah, we don't show that anymore. Bing's yeah, here you go. Here's some intestines. Oh, human? Or you want goat or what?
Oh.
You want human and goat with? Yeah, it's just.
And to add to the list of things we will never look up online, any of those. Thank God you're there to do it. Okay, so Duff Till Dawn, are you going to give them any wacky challenges like this?
No, here's the thing about Duff Till Dawn is that cake competition or just cake television in general has really kind of stalled out. I really feel there's just nothing exciting or new or really made by cake decorators for cake decorators, or for people to really understand and appreciate the artwork that cake decorators do. And so, I created Duff Till Dawn. Was that the snowplow? Snowmageddon! It is snowing like crazy, though, isn't it?
We get snowed in here. You're making all of us dinner.
Yeah, we're hanging out. Yeah,
we're going to go right back
watch.
to that original promise going through people's desks.
Look at all that wheatgrass back there. Come on, yeah, we got this.
That is fake, so none of that. Okay, I think I have like a jar of coconut oil in my desk. That's like all I can help you with.
We are not cooking with it, though.
Okay, challenges. Moving on. We're sliding right past that one.
Okay.
Challenges.
So here's the thing: is that this is the first show I've ever produced, and I was like, look, I have competed in hundreds of competitions. I was a competitive ice carver, chocolate, sugar, cakes. I've done it all, and I know what works and what doesn't. And so with Duff Till Dawn, what I'm really trying to do is you can't have a cake competition that's like Chopped. Right? Chopped, you open up the basket, here's some stuff. It's just like, okay, a pig heart, a lamb testicle, and a scallion. All right, cool. Let's make some chocolate mousse. Or what, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. But, it just doesn't work like that. Like, with cakes, you need to think and plan ahead. So when you throw challenges like that at cake decorators, it doesn't work. And you get bad television, first of all, and it is a television show. You get bad cakes, which makes the cake decorators unhappy because they're on television and their reputation is on the line. And the only reason why cake decorators will go on television is because it's good for you. It's good for business. It's good for get your name out there, and people will come and then buy your cakes. I mean, that's we're all in business. And so what I want to do is create a show that would really be able to show the world what cake artists are able to do, because their skills are incredible. These guys are so good, but when you start putting them in situations where they're not able to showcase those, what's the point? Like, it's just showing. Then you're just watching people cry. At that point, just turn on, something else.
Teen mom.
Almost.
All right. Okay, we've officially crossed into snorting in the crowd here. We've officially crossed in. Snorting.
That was a healthy snort, by the way. That was good.
Belt just. I'm going to turn it over to questions because my belt just came unclipped. So give me a second to do that. All right, I came out and harassed you guys earlier and said you better have questions when I asked. So let's do it. Who's got questions? Go ahead. Oh wait! You need a microphone.
Oh,
there we go. Now you can go
official
ahead.
Microphone. Has there ever been someone come up to you and ask you for a cake that you were just a little hesitant to do, that you maybe said no? Or you have
if it's really just now, for example, here's the thing: is I have incredible artists that work for me. I mean, these guys they've been to art school, they've been working artists for a long time, and I really respect what they do. And not to sound like precious or I don't know, I think too much of who are, but I really do respect the people that work for me because they're incredibly talented. I mean, these are people that do things that, even I can, I sometimes come into work and I'm blown away. I'm like, I can't believe that, you're able to do this. And so sometimes people ask for the bachelorette cakes or stuff, and it's just we could probably be really good at those, the kind of the X-rated cakes, but I just don't want to do it because I feel like asking my guys to take this incredible gift that they have and do something hey, look, I'll get in there with the best of it, but it's just not, as far as with cakes go, you don't really want to ask somebody to kind of cheapen their so that's really it, though. It's funny, we had I did that cake for the lesbian couple in Oregon, and because this Christian baker was you are an abomination unto the Lord. He said this to this couple that was getting married. It was just crazy. And so I was just all right, this dude's a nut job. So I made their cake for free. And then I had all these people oh, well, you're a hypocrite. I'm like, why am I a hypocrite? And they're well, if we wanted a Nazi cake, you wouldn't make it. And I'm because I'm Jewish. And I'm like, I'll make you a Nazi cake. And you'd make me a cake of a swastika. And I'm like, sure. Go ahead and eat it. I dare you.
Well played. Very
You know,
well. That's
you
a
know.
tough act to follow, guys. Tough. All right, more questions. I know you have them. Go ahead.
It's such an interesting idea to have this competition until the sun comes up. I'm just wondering where that kind of started, where you came up with the idea to go until the sun came up.
Gotcha.
Competition isn't enough. You're going to make them stay
Right.
up all night.
Let's just make it as awful as possible. Like, yeah, you have to do it till the sun. Literally, it comes from our circumstance. You know, as a producer on the show too, you know, we have a budget, and it was like, studios are expensive, and I was like, well, I own a bakery, but it's a bakery that is in, like, we make things there. You know, it's my business, so we can do, when my employees go home, then we can do the competition. So it literally is, my employees go home, and then we shut down, and we move all the furniture, turn it into a battleground, finish, clean up, put everything back, and then all my employees come home. Then I go home and go to sleep, and then come back to work at like 3 p.m, which is awesome. But so that's literally why we did it, because like it's my place, and you know, we're still making, you know, we got real customers that are getting real cakes, and you know, we have to, like, you know, still got to make a living, you know.
Okay, I have a question. You
Go
guys
ahead.
can get to go again in a minute. I have one. Charm City has gotten so big and so popular and so successful. Do people call in and want cakes and want specifically you to be at the helm of them, making it, delivering it, and are they not pleased when it isn't you?
You know, it's funny. Sometimes when, like, you know, our delivery guys, so all the people that deliver our cakes, they're either the people that made that cake, or we also have a lot of our friends that are not artists, but they work for companies that move art. They, like, work for the museums, and they have these companies that, like, move sculptures and things. Like, they're very good at what they do. Like, they're professional art handlers. And so they'll show up with a cake, and someone's like, where's Duff? Or like, where's Jeff? And they're like, oh, they weren't delivering this cake. And they're like, well, we want our money back. And I'm like, yeah, that's cute. Here's your cake. Have a nice day, you know, kind of thing. Like,
Is that in the contract somewhere?
it's in the contract that no.
That no one reads?
Yeah, there's nobody, there's no guarantee that anybody you know from television will be delivering a cake. I mean, sometimes it's actually a great surprise, because I still deliver cakes. And I'll show up on someone's door with a, you know, 2-tier second birthday cake, and I'll knock on the door, and they'll open the door, like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I'm delivering your cake. Or like, people will come into the shop, and they're like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I work here. Like, what are you doing here? You know, like, you know, but it's like, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, when you see Michael Simon in his restaurant cooking behind the line, you know that he's legit, and you know that what he's doing on television, you believe it that much more because he's living it every day. You see Bobby Flay behind the line, and he is. Bobby Flay cooks in his restaurants. When you see Bobby Flay cooking in his restaurants, it's like, that's legit. You know, if you see a chef and they don't work in a restaurant, or they're not there, I mean, you know, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but there's just a level of legitimacy that when somebody is finished with their job on camera, that they go back to their job in the kitchen and they still do their thing. I love to mop, you know.
Mop?
I love to mop. I still mop.
Like mop.
Mop. I got like a S. Like a S.
Okay,
I mop. Yeah, I got a mop. So our shop in LA is on Melrose, and I was out in front and I was sweeping, right? Because we have a famous producer that has the office above us, and he has all these trees so nobody can see him producing thing. I don't know. So like there's all these like leaves, and so I was sweeping the sidewalk, and I'm sitting there, I'm sweeping the sidewalk, and the TMZ bus rolls by, and they start like making fun of me because I'm out there like sweeping, and they're like, "Wow, rough life, huh, chef?" And I'm like,
Did you mess with them back?
I gave them I let them know how I felt in a not a non-verbal fashion.
Did you make the show?
Several times, actually. No, I'm always really cool to those guys. They actually go to the same gym as Harvey, and so, like, you know, I see him in there, and, like, you know, I'm like, he's really cool. He's a nice guy.
I used to work for him.
Did you really?
My fiance works at TMZ.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
hilarious. No,
So that was
Harvey's
awkward
cool,
for
man.
me.
He's serious too. He's legit. Like in the gym, like that dude. Like I
He
can't
loves
believe
the
that. Like
gym.
all those dumb hipsters are sitting there making fun of Harvey. Like Harvey would destroy any of them. Like he's a tight little pit bull, man. That guy's tough.
I'm sure he'd probably be flattered to hear you say that. He
probably
probably
would,
would. He probably would be flattered to absolutely hear you say that. All right, do we have any more questions? Yeah, absolutely. Let's grab two more.
So you talked about how you feel like Cake TV is stalling. Are there any like crazy pitch ideas that in your wildest dreams you could have happen on Cake TV? Ideas for shows, things like that?
I got a couple ideas, like things that I want to do on Cake TV. Definitely. Probably right now, there's one cake that I've always wanted to make since I've started in this business, and it's I want to make a life-size tauntaun from Hoth, but I want it to be dead, laying on the ground, and I want to be able to cut the cake open and have the brrr, like the, you know when it's like brrr, like all the guts kind of come out. I want to do that with like fruit roll-ups, right? So that was like the cake I always wanted to make. But there's a new Star Wars movie coming out, and I really want to make a life-size X-wing out of cake. I want to make a life-size edible X-wing fighter. If I could do that, I'd be like. I'd be like, I'm done. You know what I mean? But so
that's the top.
It's
right
one
there.
of those cakes
That's
happens.
the top there. All right. Well, we have time for one more question. We've gotten a lot from this region here. How about you guys over there? Our best friend,
the snorter.
The snorter.
You have kids, right?
I don't.
Oh, you don't?
Not that I know
Well,
of.
then I don't have a question anymore. Bye. Bye, Felicia.
Yeah, did we learn nothing from the old finger and the saw situation?
No. It's really like more like about your kids and like how making like if your kids were like, hey, yeah, you know, they probably had like the best cakes ever, like from you for their birthdays and stuff, and be like, I didn't know if you had children, if they were following in your footsteps type thing. But since you don't,
Hypothetical
that question
kids, would you want them to?
irrelevant.
If my kids wanted to be chefs, you know, I'm not like one of those parents like, oh, whatever my kid wants to do, I'm cool with that. Like, no, I'm not. But well, like if I do have kids, like they're gonna play sports. I don't care if they don't like it. They're gonna play team sports. That's just how it's gonna be. Like, listen, I am so thankful that my parents and my friends like pushed me. Like, I played hockey, I played lacrosse, played football, played a bunch of team sports. And playing team sports, it really prepares you for life, I think, much more than sophomore geometry. I'm sure I'm going to get some tweets now, like, oh, but like, it's important, you know what I mean? Like, learning how to work as a team to achieve a goal is something that, you know, people miss that. And, you know, I think people are, you know, they're writing 12-step, you know, help seminars for just things that you can learn as a 6-year-old playing soccer. So, you know, my kids are definitely going to play sports. If they want to be chefs, I'm definitely going to, like, educate them on the industry. You know, I am definitely not the norm. You know, I'm a line cook that won the lottery. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm very, very fortunate. Not lucky, but very fortunate. I mean, I was in the right place at the right time, working hard and working smart and, you know, being amazing at something when that eyeball found me. So, you know, I'm definitely going to like educate them and be like, look, you know, you're not going to be on television. You're going to be working in restaurants and, you know, you got it. Like it's a tough business. But yeah, I mean, you know, if that's what they wanted to do, I mean, like I could not imagine a different career path. Well, I got a couple, but you know, I mean, like, I mean, I really I know that like I could die tomorrow and be like, I definitely dedicated my life to this thing and with all of my heart, and really cooking is something that not only demands that level of dedication, but also like accepts it really well. There's some things like, I don't know, I've never been a stock trader, but I can imagine like you can dedicate your life to trading stocks and like, yeah, that might be rewarding because at the end of the day, you've made some numbers in a computer change somewhere, but you know what that means, and like, you know, that feels good, and you feel like, yeah, I made all this money, but you know, it's just, there's something about like a craft like cooking, where you are learning how to physically create something that didn't exist before you started creating that, and that's a really cool thing. And I think that a lot of people are missing that from their lives, and I think that definitely it's something. If my kids want to do it, I'd be like cooking's a great way to do it, but here's a whole bunch of other things you could also be doing. I would show them that there are many crafts, and not crafts as in let's scrapbook. It's not a craft. It is an invented industry. Sorry, Michaels.
Sorry to all those scrapbookers out there.
Like people somebody follows me on Twitter, you check it out. It's I'm a scrapbooker.
You thought you were going to get angry tweets earlier.
I
You're
know, man. I'm
pissed off scrapbookers.
Racking them up, man. Just gastroenterologists, scrapbookers. It's terrible.
Every question just takes quite a left turn. At some
I
point
can't help
during
it.
the
It's stream of consciousness. It happens.
Hey, I think we're all pretty entertained. That's why we love you. But I would thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me. This is really great. Thank you.
And thank you guys. You guys were great. And even your question that wasn't a real question turned out to take us to scrapbooking. So there we go. Your hypothetical kids. You're super busy. It's incredible that you braved this weather, and you've got 2 shows going on. So everyone make sure you check them out. And don't follow him on Twitter if you're a scrapbooker.
If you're a scrapbooker.
Duff, thank you so
Block
much.
me.